it's Jordan with Jordan Budgets. Today we are doing a how to budget video. I have had a ton of new subscribers and many emails now from beginning budgeters who have questions on how to get started with budgeting. So I thought we would do a very easy beginner's method on how to budget. Now there are some methods that people like to follow in budgeting. Like there is a 50-30-20% budget, which follows 50% needs, 30% wants, 20% savings. There's also an 80-20 budget, which is 80% of your needs, and then 20% is investing or savings. I do not follow any of that. I have a very easy method where you sort of break down your different expenses in your different categories, and you can budget just intuitively knowing the things that you need. So with all of that being said, let's jump into September's budget and let's see how to do a budget the very easy way. Okay, I do want to quickly say I've had a ton of questions on my last video where I used a similar printed layout. I've done a little bit of work on the layout on this sheet, and I put this up on my Etsy shop for $1.99. So if you want this exact same budget sheet that I'm using, follow the links below to get to my Etsy shop and you can have this same printout. Okay, so the very first thing you want to do when setting up your budget is you want to write out and think of all of your incomes that you have coming in that month. That is going to be the income amounts after taxes, after insurance has been taken out, all of those things. So it is your take-home pay. So I have 3 different incomes, so I'm going to list out all of those here, and then we are going to total it there. Okay, so after you've listed out your 3 incomes or your 1 income, whatever your situation is, the different money you have coming in, you want to total it there. So I have 2 different incomes, and then I have the child tax credit. I added all of those things up. That gives me $2,820 for the month. So now that we have totaled that income, without even taking into account our income, we want to work on our fixed expenses. So the other categories, you're going to want to take that total amount into consideration, but with fixed expenses, those are going to be all of your things that are set in stone that are due every single month. That might be rent, electric, that might be your water bill or your internet bill, your phone bill, anything that happens every single month without fail and it's the same price. So I'm going to now list my fixed expenses under the budgeted categories. That's how much I expect them to be. Okay, so I've listed all of my fixed expenses. Mine are rent, preschool, electric, gymnastics, internet, water, and miscellaneous. The miscellaneous category is just a few things like Instant Ink, Netflix, and a couple of other things. I just group them all together. They come out of my card automatically, so I don't have to think about paying those bills. I list my fixed expenses in order from most to least. I am a cash saver, cash spender, so I save in cash all of these expenses every single month, and I pay all of them on the first. If you do not do that, or you don't have that system sort of set up, you might prefer to write out, instead of most to least, you might want to write out your fixed expenses on what is due first. So if rent is due on the first, you might want to write that up here so you can kind of check it off. And then, if electric is due on the 5th, then write that into your next category. However you want to do that, you just want to make sure all of your bills that are coming out every single month go into this fixed expense category. So I'm just going to take a moment to add up those fixed expenses, just because as we start to work through this, we're going to need to know where we're at. So our budgeted amount for fixed expenses is $1,675. That comes out every single month. There's nothing I can do to play around with these numbers. It is what's going to happen. So the actual amount at the end of the month, I might come through and say, hey, our electric bill was a little bit less this month, or it was a little bit more. So you just want to sort of always chart those things at the end of the month to make sure you are accurately depicting what is reality, in your budgeted expenses. But the $1,675, that is what I'm planning on, and that is what it usually is. Okay, so here's where things get a little more fun. Those expenses are going to be the same every single month. Your variable expenses are things that you need. They are things like groceries, fast food. You need fast food on occasion when it's a busy day, gas for your car, maybe a little bit of fun money to spend with the kids. Those kinds of things are going to go under variable expenses. So those are things that you need every single week, and it's pretty much a guarantee that you're going to need it, but it's not set in stone like these fixed expenses. So gas for your car, that might be a little bit of a fixed expense, but you could decide, hey, I'm not going to make that weekly trip to the park that's really far away if you just don't have the funds to do that. So anything like that, or food, you might decide to start stretching your dollar a little bit further on groceries if you have to. But variable expenses are those expenses that you need every single week, and you have a little bit of wiggle room with them, but they still have to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and write down my variable expenses now. So for variable expenses, I already know exactly what I need on all of these things. When you are first budgeting, you may want to spend a good month or two tracking your expenses every single day and really trying to keep up with those expenses. I know that I need about $100 every single week for groceries, $20 a week for fast food, $20 for fast food, for fun. Gas is usually $20 per week, but currently the gas prices have gone up. So I went ahead and this coming month for September, I'm allotting us $30 a week. So that has changed just a little bit. Self-care, I'm giving myself $60 total, and I'm just going to figure out how to break that up weekly as it comes. And then this is a great example of when you will use budgeted versus actual, because for variable expenses, this might be your plan, but in reality, you spend $100 during this month for fast food, and so you would need to change that amount on the actual just to accurately track that money. Okay, and then we are moving on to debt and investing. If you have any debt, I am not a financial advisor, but I would recommend taking care of that debt before you start trying to invest a lot of money, just to get that debt and that interest off of the plate and out of your mind. I currently do not have any debt, so I like to put $200 into my savings challenges. If you are unfamiliar with saving challenges, you can find a little bit more of that on my channel, but that's basically saving for some of the big expenses that are coming later in the year. Now, currently, I do not have the funds to invest into long-term savings, but I do like to put $200 into savings challenges. I've been able to put a little bit more into saving challenges before, but this month my money is going to be a little bit more tight, so I'm going to put $200 into the savings challenges. Now let's see. Sinking funds. Sinking funds are really fun because they are a great way to track and put money into all of those things that we need, but we don't need every single week. So it's things that are going to pop up like haircuts for the kids or new tires for your car, those kinds of things like new clothes, car insurance, if you only pay it every once in a while. Now, if you pay car insurance every single month, it should be in fixed expenses. But if you pay it twice a year, then that might go into one of your sinking funds categories. So give me just a moment. I'm going to fill out my own sinking funds. Okay, so those are all of our sinking funds. I did add up variable expenses as well because I forgot to do that earlier. And now I'm just going to add our fixed expenses, our variable expenses, and our savings challenges and see what's left over to see what we can put into sinking funds. That total is $2,615. So we're going to take our total income of $2,820 minus $2,615, and that tells me we have $205 to put into sinking funds. Okay, so with that 205 amount, let's see where we can put money this month. That totals $205. So I just thought for the sinking funds, all of my categories are things that come up for us. Like I am planning a moving trip soon to visit the place where we are moving in a year. Car maintenance, I do need new tires, so I'm gonna put 20 towards that. Haircuts, I already have some money into that sinking fund, but I need $10 more for my boys to get their haircuts this month. And so all of those things. I guess another thing I should mention is sinking funds is something that you are building onto every single month. So that's why it's a sinking fund. It's something that you're putting down and you're growing it up. So the moving category, I probably already have $150 in there. Car maintenance, there's money from last month in all of these funds that just are slowly building until I need to use them. So when I use the haircut money every single month, then I just pull that from that account and then I start over fresh putting money into that every single week. So these are all things that we need, but it's not every day that we need them. It's just something that needs to stay on our radar. So I hope that sort of idea and that thinking helps you create your own sinking funds. Now, if you added up these three categories, because I do think these things should be the priority, especially if you have debt. For me, investing into some big things that are happening next year, like my move, is very important. So I am considering that an investment into my future, and that's important to me. I think that these three categories need to be focused on first, especially fixed expenses and variable expenses. But if you find that you filled out all of these categories and you're in the negative, or you don't have any money for sinking funds for whatever reason, I think that you need to play around with those variable expenses or consider finding a way to pull in more income, like a side job or something like that, so that you can invest into these sinking funds. Because investing into these sinking funds is really going to decrease your stress when car maintenance happens, like whenever you need an oil change or new tires. You want to be investing something into these sinking funds. So if, for example, you do all of this and you have no money left over, you might want to consider, okay, we can only afford to get fast food once a week or 2 times a month. Or you might consider, okay, with groceries, we need to think about buying different brands and get that total amount down lower than what it is. So I do think that myself, I've got my budget pretty down at this point, but you will spend a few months at first. If you are new to budgeting, you will spend a few months really moving around these numbers and figuring out what you can live with and what you can't. So keep that in mind if you are brand new to starting a budget. It may not be exactly what you want it to be at first, but I do think starting a budget, it's the big step. You know what I mean? You just need to start it. Just like everything else, just start it and it will start to work out itself the more that you pay attention to where your money's going. So this is a zero-based budget. I found a way to make sure every single dollar went to use. So I have the $2,820. Every single dollar has a job, and I think it's very important to find out the job for that dollar. If you are not tracking your fixed expenses, variable expenses, and your debt and investing, then when these sinking funds come around and you're not prepared for them, it's going to really take a huge hit on your finances. So there it is. That is our September budget, and that is the very easiest way to tackle a budget. And in my experience, it is the absolute best way. You're not following any set percentage numbers exactly, but you are looking at your own budget and seeing exactly what you need to do with that money. I will say with my budget, the only thing that I wish I could do differently would be to invest in long-term, like investing into property or the stock market or something like that. However, I have, so what does that even total to? I am a low-income mom of 2 boys, and so I think you can only do so much with, clearing $33,000 a year. And this is absolutely what works with me. And I hope that you found some value in this video and you find the budget that works for you. As always, I thank you guys for being here with me today, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.